because it was so up-tempo, ballady kind of thing. Really rubbed me the wrong way. Even though I made up the riff, I didn't know it was going to turn into...
Well, let's see the big one.
I'm sick of that thing. This wasn't...
And my legacy's cherry pie. Everything about me is cherry pie. I'm a cherry pie guy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the RockTone. In today's video, you'll learn that the songs that made each of those multi-platinum musicians legends also shockingly made them miserable, ranging from a group that feared their hard rock cover of a pop song would, quote, eclipse the band, to another popular band that quickly realized the audience they were mocking in their hit single were exactly the ones buying the album and coming to their shows. Some of these reactions will make you hear these radio hits in a whole new way. So stick around, because we're kicking off this video with one of rock's most popular guitarists ever, and the chart-topping single he never wanted to release. By 1988, Guns N' Roses had a minor buzz growing after the release of Welcome to the Jungle, but they were far from the behemoth that they would eventually become. For example, in order to get MTV to play their music video, label founder David Geffen had to call the network personally and request a favor. It may not seem like it looking back, considering it went on to sell over 30 million albums. But Appetite for Destruction was a slow burn for the first few months after its release. That was until their second single was released. This song had a vastly different sound from the rest of the album, and Slash wanted no part of it. He preferred playing into the villainous image that G and R had cultivated by destroying the set of Headbangers Ball, for example. And even though he came up with the riff for Sweet Child O' Mine, and was heavily involved in the creation of the song, he absolutely did not want to release the future chart-topping single. He was quoted as saying, "You know, Guns N' Roses was always a real hardcore sort of AC/DC kind of hard rock band with a lot of attitudes." In 2002, he was also quoted as saying, "When Sweet Child O' Mine was written, it was a joke as far as I was concerned. I was just f***ing around when I came up with that riff. To me, it was a nightmare because, for some strange reason, everyone picked up on it, and the next thing you knew, it had turned into a song. I hated it forever." Slash would eventually come around regarding Sweet Child O' Mine. I'm sure the highly favorable remarks on his guitar solo helped. But mainly, he grew to appreciate the fan response it generates. While their catalog would still be historic, the ballad is still their only chart-topping hit to date. Number 2. In 2001, Californian band Alien Ant Farm would release their major label debut album Anthology, having recently been signed by the band Papa Roach's sub-label of DreamWorks, New Noise. They would re-record a few of their songs off of their first indie label release, including the very last song on that album, titled Slick Thief, which was an obvious play on Michael Jackson's top 10 Billboard hit, Smooth Criminal. They initially did not want to release the major label version of Smooth Criminal as a single, but given the fan response it was receiving from a few rock stations in California, they decided against their initial wishes and released the cover as the album's second single. It very quickly rose up the charts, eventually giving the band their only top 40 hit. As the song gained popularity, they soon began to worry it would outgrow the band, with vocalist Dryden Mitchell sharing, "It's weird to see something in real time go like lighting a firework, and then be a little bit angry about it, you know what I mean?" So that was a trip. Now, the older I am, I think it was a good thing in hindsight. Again, I had those feelings of, this is going to eclipse a lot, this is almost going to eclipse the band. Despite initially resenting the song, Mitchell has since changed his stance on it, with him being quoted as saying, "It makes me happy now. It's come full circle. I've had seasons of it." I remember we did a tour, this was way back. We did a tour where we didn't, play the song, and that's kind of lame. The song opened a lot of doors for the band, though. I can distinctly remember on an episode of MTV Cribs, where a member of the band thanked Michael Jackson for writing the song that bought him that house. Or some version of that statement. But what did the king of pop think of the hard rock interpretation of his hit song? Here, I'll let him tell you.
I saw it and fell in love with it.
Excellent.
I loved it. I said, I just gotta have this come out. So they wanted my permission, I saw it and I approved it, gave it a AAA, said go right ahead.
Number 3. In 1987, the Beastie Boys had a top 10 hit with their song, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. It was one of the driving songs from their eventual Diamond-certified album, Licensed to Ill. The entire album was a strong showing musically, with catchy singles like Paul Revere and Brass Monkey also being released, and while the other singles placed and charted on Billboard. None of them had the staying power to match Fight for Your Right. It was wrote to be a mockery of songs like I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister or Smoking in the Boys' Room by Motley Crue. The guys saw the humor in your Bad Boy stand up to authority by means of rock and roll type songs, but they soon began to realize when they were performing the song that the song was perceived as just that. They could see out into the audience the type of listener the song attracted, and how they in turn reacted. Much to the band's dismay, even more ironic, the band would soon begin to live that hard partying lifestyle that they exaggerated in their music video, and became the thing that they once made fun of, proving that the temptations of stardom do not discriminate. Number 4. In 1990, Warrant was riding high off of the success of their debut album, Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. It had a number of catchy tunes like Big Talk, Down Boys, and the nearly chart-topping ballad Heaven. So when it came time to follow up this double platinum effort, they recorded what was supposed to be titled Uncle Tom's Cabin, sharing the title with the album's supposed lead single. While catchy, the label execs feared it wouldn't have the commercial appeal needed to propel the album. Janie Lane, frustrated from this, wrote the monster single Cherry Pie, a song that the band would later describe as a double-edged sword. Yeah, they would tour off its success and gain another platinum-selling album, but they soon would only be associated with that song. Everyone can remember the VH1 interview featuring Janie Lane bashing the song and admitting regret for ever writing it.
He lived with it over the weekend, and all of a sudden, the album's called Cherry Pie. The record's called Cherry Pie. I'm doing cherry pie eating contests. The single's Cherry Pie, right? If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Number 5. Despite his perceived over-the-top rock star persona, Motorhead's vocalist Lemmy was quite a well-spoken and thoughtful individual. He wrote for numerous publications and often was a fantastic interview for anyone seeking logical insight on rock and roll. In his 2002 autobiography titled White Line Fever, he states, "I'm sick to death of Ace of Spades. We didn't become fossilized after that record, you know. We've had quite a few good releases since then. But the fans want to hear it, so we still play it every night. For myself, I've had enough of that song." Lemmy makes a good point on top of everything else he said, and something I will admit to being guilty of as well. Sometimes as fans, we can choose to ignore the new releases our favorite bands may put out. We'll brush it off as, well, their old stuff was so much better. But in reality, that's just part of their growth as an artist oftentimes. Thanks, guys. Did any of these surprise you? I was certainly surprised that MJ gave his blessing so easily on Smooth Criminal to what was essentially a very young unknown band. Be on the lookout for my next video that I'll be posting soon. I worked for a concert venue a few years ago and remembered all of the tour riders we'd have to fulfill for the incoming artists. Some of the over-the-top and oddly specific items they requested will make for an entertaining video, I believe. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel. You're not going to want to miss this.